So the first thing that you need to do is create some sort of backing, and in this case I'm using Shims. You can really use any little piece of wood that will fit in the hole that you're using, but you can see the Shims worked really well in this case, and having one on each side really helps. You can screw in the tops and then leave the bottoms open, and then you can slide them together with your hands. So I got the first side in and now the second side, and I'm really holding it with my fingers as tight as I can so that that screw sets real gently. And then I just gently nudge those two shims together from the bottom. And usually if you put the thick side of the shim up high, then when I go to set that bottom screw, it'll just suck the shim up and then set the screw deep enough so that it doesn't sit proud when you apply the mud. This is, for me, one of the easiest tricks is using this foam. You can use the single use. I have the little gun, but the single use just works fine. It might have been a little longer than 20 minutes, but pretty close. This is just a regular mud, not a quick dry. And I'm just getting enough on to make it so that I can work it later. At this point, it doesn't really matter if it's that clean. You know, there's that, you're gonna have things like this screw showed up, it's a little too proud, so I'm gonna try to set it deeper. And that always happens when you're working with patches. So one of the things that I notice when people work with mud, that steep angle really helps to lay the mud on. Most people go a little too sharp, like perpendicular to the wall. It's really steep is a lot better. It gives you a lot more control. And side to side, top to bottom, swirling like I do there. That all is really helpful. So it dried out next day. The point I'm making here is I don't like the other mud. It's not as forgiving, and I don't like being time bound, so I like to use the stuff that cures slower, but you got to use heater or dehumidifier to make it to dry. The sanding, just feather the edges. Don't worry about it being flat. Yeah, medium and then a fine sanding sponge and you're good to go. This is probably a little bit more clean than you even need because we're going to texture it. So yeah, you don't have to wait for the mud to dry when you texture. And, you know, they say to test it on a piece of cardboard, but I had been using it a bunch, so I didn't. So watch how steep the angle is and how light it is. It's super steep and super light. So this is a knockdown texture. That's why it's so steep and light. Yeah, you can just add a little more. If it doesn't quite look right, just add some more on there and then try it again. I'm just trying to match the texture that I'm seeing on the wall. I know you can't see it, but... And then that's another one of my tricks I like. You just use a spray can to clean up your patch, and you don't have to wait for the mud to dry, and that's done. And then in a, you know, probably next day, because you want it all to dry, that's when you'll be ready for paint. Hope that was helpful. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what your tricks are. Have a great day.